I'm well, thank you. All right, so for my assignment, I completed 5 hours of observing three self-help groups. One was AA, the other ones was NA, and AL Anon. So that was Alcohol Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and Al Anon. So I'm gonna share just a little bit about my experience for each group, how they impacted me professionally, how they influenced my view of substance use, and my overall key takeaways. So with Alcohol Anonymous, when I first walked in the AA meeting, I felt a little bit unsure. Even though I was there as a student to observe, I felt that I may be entering in on, their personal space. Um, I wondered, oh my gosh, if my presence, would make them feel uncomfortable.
Mhm.
However, I was, oh my gosh, I was just welcomed so warmly. And as the meeting continued, I noticed some of the participants there, um, everyone shared differently. Some of the members openly shared experience, while others were just there simply listening. There was no pressure to speak for anyone, which created a safe and respectful environment. One aspect that stood out to me was the structure of the meeting. The group, they read aloud from an AA 12-step book, with members taking turns reading. After each person read, they shared some of their own experiences. Um, some experiences were like a long time ago. Some people had been clean for like 12 years. And then on the other hand, you had somebody like 5 years, and you had someone that just started coming to the meetings. And the slogan that was repeated many times was keep it simple. And they shared with me that was a phrase to help keep them grounded during discussions. And it served as a reminder not to overcomplicate things.
Mhm.
And it was a moment where they asked if anybody wanted to share. And so I introduced myself because I didn't want to seem like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to say anything. And I did. And I told them I was a student, I was an observer, and I explained why I was there. And a few members, they were really nice. They congratulated me and said, oh, how nice it was for you to go back to school. And some of them said, I think I might want to try something like that. And they all joked, and which, lightened up
Nice.
the room a little bit. So the NA meeting I went to, it was welcoming and structured as well, but it had a different, unique tone. NA is a nonprofit fellowship of men and women. Let's see, um, drugs. It's kind of emotional for me because some I didn't know people that were there, but some of the things that they shared, it was just so genuine, and the love from each person, it just exuded, and it was just very different. At the beginning of the meeting, they too read from some NA literature together, and they made sure that I had a book, and if I needed anything, and they had coffee, offered me that as well. And they do take up donations, I wanted to share, but if you're not a member, you cannot contribute to the donation. And they talked a little bit about that as well. And what stood out me for that group, honestly, members, they were, how I mentioned earlier, how they were at different stages. Some had years of sobriety, while others openly shared about recent use. Despite those differences, there was no judgment, only encouragement and accountability. And so the next group I attended was Al Anon. That meeting, of course, it was very emotional because it was relatives there. There were friends that were there for other friends. And some of the people there, they didn't know where their loved one was, if they were using, hadn't seen them. But for them to come to this group, it gave them a sense of togetherness and a place for them to share what they were thinking and how they were feeling, because other people there were feeling that same thing. And so when I came to the meeting, the person, like the chairperson, asked if I would not share that I was there as an observer because of the vulnerability of a a couple of people that were there, and so I followed that, and I was just there in the group, maybe to them just as another person there for another loved one, and I didn't mind that at all. Let's see. Now I want to share about the impact that it had on me, and I just have a couple of notes here. So professionally, this experience, it was eye-opening for me as a future professional myself. I would with me referring like a client to the support groups. However, sitting in these groups, it helped me understand how much courage it takes to attend one for the first time, because walking into a room full of strangers, potentially sharing deeply personal struggles, that requires a lot of vulnerability. So if I were ever down the road and I was going to refer somebody, I would just share with them, when you walk in, you might feel this way, but after you're there, they will show love and welcome you, and it'll be okay. And also, to this experience, it increased my empathy. It reminded me that when providing referrals, like I just said, we should prepare the clients for what to expect, and how this has changed my view of substance use. Okay, it reminded me that recovery is built on connection, routine, and accountability, and shared understanding. Hearing the members read from the recovery liturgy, uh, it reflects on simple principles that they hold dear to their hearts to follow, and they shared out loud that, by coming to the meetings all the time, has had helped change and shape their lives, and made them become more respectful for them own selves and their families. So attending the Al-Anon broadened my perspective even further. I saw firsthand that substance use does not only affect the individual, it deeply impacts the families and the loved ones. And, as a family member, because I put myself in their place, I mean, my gosh, I would be so concerned. And the families, they shared how they just pretty much don't sleep at night because they're concerned about their loved ones. So coming to um, a meeting like that helps them keep themselves together. And now my key takeaways. So my key takeaways from this experience, to remain non-judgmental, to meet people exactly where they are, and to recognize recovery as a process rather than a straight line. So this experience has transformed substance use from something that I'm studying academically into something that I truly have witnessed. And this was great for me to actually go to the meetings and sit there. I saw courage in people showing up, vulnerability and sharing, and the strength of the repetition of just simple grounding principles. Recovery is not dramatic or flashy. It's just steady, intentional, and deeply human. I wanted to make sure that I shared that because that's what I felt from everyone. And most importantly, this experience confirmed that that kind of professional that I want to become someday. Someone who listens firsthand, respects each individual's journey, and walks alongside people and families with compassion, humility, and understanding. And that's what I saw from all three of these groups. And I tell you, when everyone showed up there in each of the groups, they were there supporting each other that was there in the love. It was just something to really see and experience. And that's it for that I
Very
wanted to share.
nice.
Yeah. Any questions? Anything you guys want to share or
I like
ask?
how you said that recovery isn't a straight line. I think that's probably something that um, all social workers should know, but especially if you're going to go into the field.
Right.
Like you can't you can't expect them to walk the straight line because
Mhm.
we know it's so unpredictable.
Very unpredictable. And that straight line could consist of, I'm doing great for these 3 months, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden something happens. But
Yeah.
what all of these groups stress, no matter what happens, you can come back. Some has
Hmm.
sponsors. One of the
Mm-hmm.
groups, a person said, hey, I need a sponsor. and someone immediately went over to the person, they exchanged information. It was wonderful to see. And I
Yeah.
think the person that had asked for a sponsor, I think they were like caught off guard because it was their first time there. And
Mhm.
it was wonderful to see the
Nice.
love and the support.
I went to an
Thank
NA
you.
meeting for a different class years ago, and
Hmm.
I was very caught off guard. I walked in, I was getting hugs, handshakes. How
I
are you?
know,
I walked
right?
out of there with a stack of phone numbers, and they're like, "You need anything? You call." They were now once we got rolling, not so much, but they were the sweetest guys when they met. They all introduced themselves. It was a really nice vibe. I was very impressed.
Yeah,
Um,
me
Yeah.
too.
it
Yeah.
was a
I
good
had
program.
to observe an AA meeting quite a few years ago for a class as well. And that was the thing, is just the atmosphere is like, it doesn't matter what's going on outside. Once you walk into that room, it completely changes, because the thing that I got from that, even years ago, was acceptance.
Hmm.
There was a lot of acceptance.
Hmm.
And myself being a student, and I was afraid that they were going to not welcome me because I was an outsider,
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
I
me too.
didn't really have any reason to be there,
Hmm.
other than observing. But it was a pretty profound experience.
Yes.
Definitely.
I was really taken by the by your statement about how, healing and this journey is not dramatic or
Mhm.
flashy.
Yep.
And that it really and it really resonated with me how you kept saying like it's these simple things that we just have to hold on to, these the grounding things that we need to hold on to. Um, I couldn't agree more with that. I did not visit any meetings for my volunteer work, but um, I do work with clients that are dealing with substance use disorder as well
Oh,
as
okay.
trauma.
Mhm.
And um, I can't, it's absolutely that. It's, they're sometimes they come in expecting to take these giant leaps
Right.
Mhm.
um, into recovery and make headway right away. And just to remind them that this is a process and
Hmm.
not something that can happen quickly. And that it's okay that it's not linear. Um,
Mhm.
for
Yes,
sure. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is reminding them it is not linear.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure, for
There are,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's going to be steps. I agree.
I was
Thank
also
you.
Thomas?
wanted to ask if it's
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, Lenita, you said that you mentioned that the NA meeting you got pretty emotional at.
Yes. Yeah.
What was the key difference between the AA and the NA meeting that um gave you that extra like emotional reaction?
That the NA, like I said, when I first walked in, it was like about maybe five people already there.
Okay.
And as soon as I walked in and sat down, the one guy, I could kind of see peripheral vision. The other person was like, oh, pointed towards me and was like, give her your book, like that. And so they came over, opened it to where it was, and said that I could read as well with them. I could read the next one if I wanted to.
Wow.
And as they
Wow.
shared their stories, different ones, uh, they were just so genuine, just spoke right out. And they were like, when one would finish, they would say something like, oh, thanks for sharing that, and add something to it and give a pat on the back. And just the love that they were sharing. And like I said, they came
Hmm.
over, do you need anything? We got coffee in the back. And
Yep.
one other guy that spoke before I did, he had shared some personal things, but he said, the love that I have received from coming here, that's what keeps me coming back.
Mm.
Mm,
That
Yep.
just touched my heart because
That's
I,
powerful.
that
yeah,
is.
I felt the
Yeah.
love and I had just walked in. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I was also thinking like other areas, things that I do outside of that group and everything. But I come to a group like this and the love that's shown, they're not being paid to come there.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
This is
Right.
all
Yeah.
free hearted. And they could be some of the meanest people, probably. I don't know,
Hmm.
On the
but
streets,
I'm
yeah, but
just
in there,
saying,
your family.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
and other, what am I trying to say? Like sometimes other places that I'm at, you would expect people to be kind and all of that. And
Right.
sometimes they're the meanest people. And I'm just saying, I know we all go through different things, but some of the stories that I heard them share, they were really like really deep. And
Mhm.
but they were exuding love. And it was just, yeah, it was very touching, Brittany. Yeah.
That's
So
wonderful.
That's
That's
that is
wonderful.
amazing. Yeah.
yeah. And I would
Sounds
go
like it
back
was a
to
great experience.
yeah, and I would go back to visit. And if they ever saw me anywhere and acknowledged me, I would give them a huge hug. But I
That's
That's
wouldn't
nice.
invade,
amazing.
yeah, I wouldn't invade their privacy if I saw them out. But if they approached me, yeah, I would give them a huge hug because it just felt like at home. It really did.
That's
Very
wonderful.
nice.
Did
Thank
you
you.
Yes, absolutely.
did you has this changed like your trajectory for like your profession at all?
Um, Good question. I've thought about it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really thought about it. Yeah, so, and I've always said, no, this is what I want to do. And a professor early on when we started taking classes said, as you go through your classes, you might change what you want to do, your
Mhm.
profession. And I was like, I don't know about that. But thanks for bringing it up, Brittany. I did think about that. I sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
thank
sounded
you.
like it
Very
was really
nice.
impactful.
It
Yeah,
was. It was. Yeah.
very nice.
Thanks everybody for listening. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
sharing. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any preference to who goes next? Or I mean, I'm good if everybody is okay
That
with that.
works.
But
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
all right. So I actually wanted to think outside of the box a little bit.
Hmm.
Let me give you a little bit of backstory. I work in a prevention agency, so I
Okay.
do a lot of prevention education, prevention counseling, and things like that. And I had also previously had the experiences of the self-help group because different classes, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I chose the drug court. um, I went and I was able to observe a drug court this
Oh,
afternoon,
wow.
actually.
Okay.
um, yeah, so that was a little bit different. Um, they gave me a little bit of information and what I've done with my own research, but they first started drug courts in the United States in the 1980s, and it
Oh.
was because they were finding that there was a lot of people with substance use disorders were in the criminal courts,
Hmm.
and there was an overpopulation of um, people that were incarcerated because of the smaller drug related offenses.
Hmm.
So it was creating overcrowding in the correctional system. So they decided that they were going to make a model that they could use that would kind of help combat the overpopulation issue, but also make the people who were committing the drug related crimes accountable for their actions.
Hmm.
So they created it, and it uses a participation to treatment option. So I
Oh.
think that was the thing that I found that was the most um, intriguing about the whole thing. Was there were people that I saw today that had a very long list of crimes, but because they had a substance use disorder, and they were clinically diagnosed with it,
Hmm.
then they were able to participate in drug court.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'll go through the different phases a little bit later. But what that does is the court may or may not dismiss the original charges upon completion of treatment. So the treatment providers provide updates to the court, and in the court, there is the judge, there is uh, treatment professionals, their probation. There was people from the district attorney's office, and there was one defense lawyer there. But typically, she said there's not defense lawyers,
Oh.
um, because what happens is when they go to criminal court, then the DA will say yes or no whether they think they're eligible for drug court.
Mhm.
So then they have to go and have a screening done. And then based on the results of the screening, that determines whether or not they're appropriate for treatment. Or if they were non-compliant in the past, that might be something that might be held against them to not get into drug court.
Mm.
But there's a whole planning team that talks about whether or not the person is appropriate for drug court. And the whole purpose of that is they have to be able to still be held accountable for their actions, but
Mhm.
also at the same time receive treatment for their substance use disorder. So the drug court has to have they have to demonstrate tangible outcomes. So what happens is today there were 3 different types of drug court. So there was the intervention drug court, there was
Okay.
the misdemeanor drug court, and there was the felony drug court. And the intervention drug court, they explained that abstinence is not an issue right now. They're more worried about the engagement.
Okay.
They still get tested every week. They still have to make all of their appointments. They're immediately directed to treatment. So as soon as they enter drug court, there's a treatment provider there. They get set up with them and they immediately get treatment, which I think is a very good thing, because there's a lot of people that are waiting for treatment. And then they have their screening, but the intervention is more about engagement. So these are the people that they haven't really committed a lot of crimes per se, but they've in some way, shape, or form, their substance abuse disorder has gotten into interfering with their functionality.
Oh.
So it's more about engagement. It's, can we get this person to come every week? Because if we can't get them to come every week, then we're not going to bump them up to the actual drug court, because those are spots that could be taken for somebody who is willing and ready for treatment.
Okay.
So that one was very interesting. There were a couple of people that came that they did test positive on their urine screens, but that wasn't addressed. It was, have you been attending your appointments? Because there is one-on-one appointments, there's group appointments, and some of them have to do community service as well. So have you been attending your appointments? What was the thing that you took out of group this week? And how far are you on your hours? And when I asked about why they decided that they wanted to talk about what did you take out of group, it's twofold. So it's to prove that they were there, number one,
Okay.
and to see if they're getting something from it. So they want to make sure that, like I said, it's engagement. So they want to make sure that they're trying to keep them engaged. So if
Mhm.
you keep telling me something that you're getting from it, then I'll know whether or not, you're going to make progress enough to move yourself up. The misdemeanor drug court, those are for the individuals that commit misdemeanor crimes having to do with substance use. And the felony drug court are the ones that really, they have the higher crimes. So they might have a lot of possession charges, or they might have a lot of intent to distribute charges. They might have a lot of public, they didn't call it intoxication, they called it another word, but being under the influence in public, kind of
Mhm.
like a disorderly conduct kind of thing. So they are the ones that they're very strict. Abstinence is the thing. When you come in and you have your urine screen every week, you have to be you have to be clean. You can't, there's no wiggle room for that one. But same thing, they have to do their community service, they have to do their groups. Some of
Mhm.
them have to work on restitution. So they have to provide a monetary contribution to the restitution every week or every couple of weeks or however they set it up with the court. And they also have to start with making their amends. They have to do a victim impact panel.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I had the experience to listen to somebody's experience with that today, and it was very, very impactful. It was very emotional. This person had substance use disorder for, I think they said, close to 30 years. And he decided that when his family completely cut him off, he knew that he needed help.
Mm-hmm.
So was involved in a crime where somebody was hurt, and had to listen to that victim tell him all the ways that their life has been affected by his choices.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So it was very emotional. I even myself, I could feel the tears coming. But you know, as far as affecting me as a professional, it really gave me a different perspective. Because I work with middle high school students that have substance use disorders. And I
Mhm.
counsel them and I educate them. But it also gave me something on the other side of it to see that, you know, even though they've made mistakes, like
Mhm.
everybody says, you know, sobriety is not linear. So it's a second chance for them. And some of them have successfully completed it and they've graduated and they've went on their way. And there was a couple of people that were in there today that they were on their second or third time.
Mhm.
But the point is they come back. And
Yes.
that's what they want to see is progress. Like it has to be tangible. So the same thing, the judge will ask them, you know, how did this week go? Did you do your appointments? Things like that. And the last thing she said to them, every single person that was up there was, is there anything you want to talk about this week? What are you struggling with? What can I help you with? And usually we connect judges with punitive, like punishment. But just to see that kind of empathy and compassion from somebody who really can decide their fate, you know, that was a pretty cool thing. Um, as far as my impact on substance use, um, I don't think it really impacted it as much as far as the education piece. But I think what really impacted me was the amount of compassion that the judges and the district attorney, you know, who actually does have say whether or not they are incarcerated or not. They were pretty compassionate and empathetic people, and I thought that was really, really good, because usually somebody who has a substance use disorder and they are in the criminal justice system, we all know the stigma. And you know, we all know the judgment, we all know the bias or the discrimination or whatever you want to call it. But I just thought it was really nice to see that they were working with them to say, we care about you, we want to see you healthy. What can we do to help? So I thought that was a really good thing. My key takeaways, the same thing, you know, there was a different side of the criminal justice system that I was able to see. Because, you know, we think of the criminal justice system as punishment, when actually in the drug court, they're immediately into treatment. So before they leave, their very first time, they connect with somebody, there's an appointment made, and they leave with something tangible to say, we're going to hold you accountable. Now the ball is in your court. So I thought that was a really, really impactful thing. So yeah, I thought it was a great experience.
It sounds great.
It
Wow.
does.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing, actually. It's so interesting to hear like that firsthand experience with the drug court, because I know we studied it in class,
Mhm.
and I had mixed feelings about drug court,
Mhm.
because I know that from what I gathered is that, you know, when someone makes a misstep
Mhm.
in drug court, there can be more penalization um,
Mhm.
to it. And I was like, and so I had mixed feelings, but it was really refreshing to hear, that there's empathy and that there's, real compassion.
There is.
Mhm.
And there were a couple, they were new cases. So before each session, they have a team meeting and they discuss the cases that the people that are coming in, because some people, there's 3 phases. So like the intervention, they come once a week because they have to stay engaged. The misdemeanor, sometimes it's once a week, depending, sometimes it's once every couple of weeks. Felony is typically once a week, but I did see there were a couple that they are so far in the phase that she was like, okay, great, I'll see you next month.
Oh,
Um,
Wow.
so in those increments, there are different people that come through. Um, but that's not to say that if they don't comply, like if they have stipulations,
Hmm.
and if they don't comply with them, then they get what they're called sanctions. So, one of them, a couple of months ago, went through a really, really bad time and missed a lot of appointments and nobody could contact him. Um, but then they finally did contact him. And from him missing his appointments, instead of him graduating on a particular month, they just moved it back a month. So instead of you graduating in April, you're going to graduate in May. Um, but they also have to hold that accountability to themselves because they have to go back to the criminal court and tell the criminal court, I didn't
Right.
graduate and this is why,
oh,
you know. So there's still a lot of accountability, but I was like I thought the point of drug court is getting them help. So if they're still going to be punished, then what is
Right.
the sense? But after my observation, I saw that there's a whole different side to that.
That's really interesting. Like, really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
yeah. I wanted to
Very
ask you
cool.
too, Kelly. So, like being in drug court, like what was like, is it busy, um, or a lot of loved ones there, or do people come by themselves mostly, or what
It
can
was a
you say?
mix.
It was
It
mixed.
was a mix. There were some people that came by themselves. There were a couple of people that had their significant others.
Okay.
Um, and there there was this one woman, I felt so bad for her. She'd called ahead of time and said, my babysitter skipped out. Like I don't
Oh,
have a baby. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't really want to bring, like 3 kids to a drug court.
yeah.
Um, and they're like, no, show up. So, you know, they were very accommodating for her.
Wonderful.
Um, and it was merely a check-in. Um, but for them to have eyes on her,
Right.
also to take into consideration the human element, because everybody knows that things happen, right?
Yep.
We
Right.
Oh, yeah.
can't control the actions of other people. So if we're depending on somebody to be there for us and they don't show up, like
Mm-hmm.
we've got to figure out what to do.
Right.
Right.
Um, and for them to just say, I don't care, bring your kids, I want to see you. That was
Okay.
great. I thought that was an amazing thing.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff, and I'm not trying to appear disinterested. Um, and a lot of that will become much more obvious when I have my piece. So there's
Okay.
some interesting
Got it.
um, comparing and contrasting that I'll do.
Mm,
All right. Sounds good. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right. Perfect. So moving on, who's next?
I can go next if you want, Joseph, or you can
It's
go.
up to
It's
you.
up to you. Okay. I will go. So it's interesting, Kelly, that you mentioned that you work in prevention, because that's where I volunteered.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Yeah, I volunteered with an organization called Wellspring. I'm located in New Jersey, and they
Hmm.
they serve 2 counties in New Jersey.
Oh,
Um, what I have done with them so far is because I still have more to do with them. But they let me come into the office and kind of gave me a rundown of their programs that they offer, and they offer. I was surprised that they offer education programs for as young as like age 5.
Oh, wow.
And up and then also to senior citizens as well,
Mhm.
um, which I thought was wonderful. Um, and so I went to see a an elementary school program,
Very
um,
nice.
which was really fun because they're adorable.
Hmm.
Hmm.
They are.
But it was really impactful because, when I think about the dangers of substance use
Hmm.
and sub and like being drawn into substance abuse and things like that, I don't, I have never thought before about elementary aged children, but what it is it's about building a foundation
Hmm.
that makes it easier to say no. And I thought that
Hmm.
was really powerful.
Hmm.
Um, they have like little puppets and what the program is called Footprints for Life, and it takes place. It's like a soccer team, and there's like um, peer pressure to do something
Yeah.
bad, and then there's
Yeah.
like they talk about validating each other's feelings and like
Mhm.
conflict resolution, and
Hmm.
and I don't know. I guess this is like how it's impacted me as well. I'm just going to talk about that. Um, because it's something, and then Lenita, you said the same thing. Like it's something so simple,
Hmm.
Hmm.
but so impactful.
Yeah.
Yes.
That I was really blown away by it. And I also just love the programs that they offer for the senior citizens, and then they have like programs that are where they're in the schools and do the counseling like you do, Kelly.
Mhm.
Um, which did not get to see that, but um, I still think it's really amazing that they're working with kids um, that are dealing with substance use
Hmm.
in a way that's like empathetic and not coming from a judgmental place, not trying to get them in trouble, just
Mhm.
really trying to take care of them.
Yeah.
And that was really, really incredible. Um, so that definitely left an impact as far as like what I think when I think about substance use, and what that means and who it affects directly or indirectly. Um, yeah, I just like the foundation that they're laying
Hmm.
was just really powerful. And I just, it's little puppets and like, you
Yeah.
know, Sammy stole money out of his aunt's purse because he was pressured to go to the movies, but he didn't have a ticket and it was like, it was just talking through it. And the kids were adorable and they're really well engaged. They engage well with it. So I
Nice.
think it was very impactful for them too.
It's the
Um,
puppets.
yeah.
It is. I used to teach those programs.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
I did, but
Um,
different programs, but same concept.
Same concept. Yeah.
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 So that was, and then that's also basically my key takeaways from it as well. I hate having the same answer for everything, but I just was so surprised,
Hmm.
um, by how impactful the foundation can be.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm a person that believes that everybody can use, um, emotional education.
Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just feel like everybody could benefit. We all could use it, and you're never done, right?
Hmm.
But to see it in action as an evidence-based program, you
Hmm.
know, that they that it really works to give them that emotional foundation can help with prevention as they get older and,
Mm.
Right.
and make it easier to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I agree.
that was my experience.
Yeah. Thanks for
I like,
sharing the part. Oh, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Thank you, Brittany, for sharing the part about the puppets. I didn't even know that they had that. Um, in order to catch the children's attention, like you said, Kelly,
Yeah.
with the puppets and teach them the different scenarios, like you said, taking the money or something you said there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I'll probably try to find out more about that too,
Yeah.
to invite them and
So
see if they come to our school.
Yes.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I used a program, it's called Too Good for Drugs.
Okay.
And Brittany's right. It's from kindergarten and it can go up to high school. But we typically stop it at middle school after
Mhm.
8th grade, because it's just so hard to get into the high schools. And that's another reason that the prevention counselor is in the schools. But I agree, it is the puppets because those are the things that the kids look forward to. They come,
Right.
sometimes once a week, sometimes once every couple of weeks, depending.
Okay.
But the kids look forward to that. And that's their engagement piece. And we're teaching them social emotional, like
Yeah.
we're problem solving skills and conflict resolution.
Yeah.
And, we're teaching them refusal skills and how to say no.
Right.
And my favorite, I used to tell my kids all the time, my favorite one is make an excuse. It's like, I can't, I got to go home and unload the dishwasher, or I got to go home, I got to walk the goldfish. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot do this because I have something else to do.
Right.
And when you put that humor into it, you would
Yeah.
be surprised at how many of them are so engaged.
Yeah.
Well,
I love that they have different programs for the different age groups.
mhm.
So they have one that I saw was for the age 5 to 9. Um, they have another one that's more broad, and then they have
Mhm.
one specifically for middle school and specifically for high
Yep.
school.
Yep.
And I haven't gotten to see those, but I'd be curious to see how they're different, because it's a different audience, a different target audience.
Yeah.
But you still want to teach them um, those social emotional skills.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, in my experience, it's a lot of the same programming, but it's as you mature. So you're going to be talking about problem solving skills with kindergartners, but you're not going to do it in a way that you're going to talk to 8th graders.
Right.
So like the verbiage is different.
Mhm.
The concepts are still there,
Right.
but it's just in the presentation, in the language.
Yeah.
I always found
Yeah,
it
but
interesting to watch that same curriculum for multiple age groups. It was the same material, but it was tailored differently just to meet the different
Yeah.
age groups. It's an
Yeah.
interesting dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's layered learning. So you build upon
Yeah.
every year. So
Right.
what you've learned in kindergarten, you might learn, the problem solving, the first thing you do is stop. Okay. But then when you're in 1st grade, you're going to learn, you're going to stop. And then what are you going to do? Well, next you're going to think, so
Mhm.
it really is layered learning, and it
Right.
helps reinforce a lot of the repetitiveness.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just really appreciated the this that aspect of it. I don't know if you guys grew up with Dare,
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
but
I remember.
Yeah, I'm that old.
I did.
Yep.
I did. I grew
Yeah.
up with
Yeah.
Dare, and it was always like, just say no, and
Yeah.
that was
Right.
it.
Yeah.
That was the extent of prevention. It's just say
Yep.
no.
Exactly. And
And so
and
I really appreciate how far it's come.
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. And research and science says that scare tactics don't work.
Right.
And if you're going to present something to them, you want to make it impactful. You're not going to say, 3% of you do this. You're going to flip the script and you're going to
Mhm.
say 97% of your classmates, you're saying everybody does it, but 97% of your classmates aren't. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
is really what makes the impact, is when you deliver it in a positive, because we all know just say no doesn't work, right?
It
Nope.
doesn't. It's not
Nope.
effective. It's not impactful.
Yeah.
And then don't try to scare the kids.
Yeah.
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 That part.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody remember this is your brain and this
Yeah,
is your
with the
brain on
egg.
drugs, the eggs?
Mhm.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
questions? Yeah. I
Yes.
had lots of questions.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions where that was like, what?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was my
But
experience. Did anybody have any questions? Are we good?
it sounds like it was a really good experience for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it
was.
was for sure, for sure. And I look
Yeah.
forward to trying to do more with them. Um, I don't know that I'll pursue prevention myself,
Hmm.
but um, it's been really really cool to see it in action for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And I'm biased. I mean, because I'm in the field, but I do know that um having some of the prevention background that I have helps with when you're talking to somebody with a substance abuse, because I can go into the science of addiction just like that with them
Hmm.
and help them understand that instead of saying, you're killing your brain. Well, yeah, you are, but let me tell you how you're doing it.
Right,
And
right.
let me tell you how it's happening and how it's going to affect you. So I'm probably the most biased person when it comes to prevention.
I know, but I mean, it's a great place. It's a wonderful thing that I'm really glad that
Mhm.
as a society we've taken on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I like
Yeah.
the fact they're evidence-based.
Yes.
So there's
Mhm.
lots of research.
Yes. Thanks for sharing, Brittany.
Thanks for
Thank you,
sharing,
guys.
Yeah,
Brittany.
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right. So I'm up. I'm going to try to be as quick as I can. I know we're kind of getting close to time. I My takeaways are based on how I went into this. I've been in the field for years. I have very limited experience with substance abuse directly.
Mhm.
Substance abuse tends to affect everything, but I don't have a lot of direct experience. And when it came time to pick an elective, I'm like, oh, not that one. And I forgot about it. And I got put in the class and I went, oh no. Um, but then the more I talked to my field placement, and he's like, no, you probably should. And I'm like, you know what? You're probably right. I'm glad I did. So that said, through a strange random happenstance, I wound up being connected with a friend of a friend who was on drug court. I worked for CPS for years and had a lot of indirect dealings with them, but I really knew nothing about it. So I was put in touch with one of the staff social workers for drug court and ran through some stuff over the phone. She gave me a couple of options, a couple of different layers. There's the misdemeanor stuff. They do a couple of local counties, or local town courts throughout the county. Um, this county is a huge county, so they do felony courts at county seats in Bath. So I decided to shoot for the stars, and I like, no, I'll do felony. Um,
Mm.
so then with the bunch of scheduling and holidays, and I got it. It was week before last, so it was a little bit, but so I went to felony drug court. Um, was able to talk to some people really quick in advance, not knowing what to expect. And she said, like, all right, well, we're going to start. And we walk into judge's chambers. I've been into this courtroom before from CPS, but it was different. Sat in judge's chambers with the judge, um, probation officers, lawyers. I'm surprised that other court doesn't do lawyers as a legal process. You'd think they'd want lawyers involved. These guys, lawyers were involved the whole time. Um, Social workers, I said probation officers, a lot of people involved, and they went through and discussed the whole docket. They gave me the information. This drug court here is 5 phases. Each phase is recommended at 90 days. Most phases take a little longer than that, depending on how you're progressing and what they decide to do. And based on your sanctions, you
Mhm.
can go up, down, stay static for a while. It depends on what's going on. Um, so another thing that really stood out to me is they were discussing a case where there was a person who was on drug court, had been on for about a year, and they were still struggling with her. And they started to discuss some of the details of the case, and I'm like, this person sounds familiar. But then they named the town, and I'm like, oh, well, that's not her, so I'm not worried about it. But this person apparently had gone to a bar, got into a fight with somebody, and a lot of bad things happened. Photos were on Facebook, and one of the things that I didn't even anticipate, other people in drug court were bringing these pictures and saying, hey, how come she gets away with this? And it had been
Oh.
like weeks and weeks, and people are like, she's devaluing the program, and people are
Mhm.
going to start losing. And the judge didn't look pleased, but he didn't look like he was going to act. He didn't say a whole lot. Um, but then After that, she got in trouble. She was on a scram tether, and she got the report came in that her scram tether was not touching skin for like 5 hours. And then there were alcohol readings, and they're like, "Whoa!" They were all saying like, "Oh, we should send her in," and he didn't really say much. But then right at the end, he's like, "Yeah, we're done." And that was weird to see. I went in thinking drug court was you go in, A, B, C, done. If you mess up, you're out. I really expected a hard edge approach. That is not at all what I got.
Yeah.
After this, we kind of disbanded for a few minutes, and then I was escorted over to the jury box and sat and watched drug court official. Come to find out that the person that I thought it was, she moved.
Oh,
And I
wow.
saw her and I went, and I know her story. I know she's a single mom. And I went, oh no.
Oh no.
And she came up and the judge, he looked sad. He's like, yeah, we've had some problems. I don't think this is enough for you. I think we're going to do a bed-to-bed transfer. We're going to take you into custody. And I sat her over to the side, and I knew her mom as well, and her mom was there. And I looked over. She got a look. She just walked out. I'm like, oh. So I wasn't expecting that. That was hard to watch. It was real hard to watch
Sure.
because then she had to sit over on the other side for the remainder of drug court. Look, that's I don't know. But then like there was another participant in drug court who was transported from the jail for her appearance. She had her appearance and then was sent back. I saw several people get advanced a phase, and all of them had to bring in letters that they wrote explaining their situation and what was going on. And I got to listen to all these people's stories. It was a fair amount of people, and it was touching. And they mentioned how they had backslid and done different things, but they were still there. I watched two people officially graduate from drug court.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, one of them had been using for 16 years, lost all her
Wow.
kids, heavy into use. Apparently there's a 2-year limit for drug court. If you don't finish in 2 years, they scrap. And whenever anybody starts drug court, they're offered a plea bargain as an incentive to stay. So and she got to graduate, and everybody said they're like, "Oh, you look so different. She's very well put together. Never would have guessed." She read her letter. One of them, her family couldn't make it, and I felt so bad for her. And then so they had those. They read their letters. They were promoted, and then everything kind of disbanded. And the social worker I was with, she looked at me. She's like, "Yeah, we're not done yet. We're staying." I'm like, what? Why? What's going on now? And I hadn't put it together up until this point, but apparently up after that point, you then sit for your trial. The DA comes in, the attorneys come in, and once you've graduated, you plead to your crimes. They all got I think it was like a year or two of probation, plus the time that was served on drug court. And all of their crimes were dropped down to misdemeanors, and they got to go home that night. And it was neat to watch. It was neat. It was as much as I hated seeing it. I saw the full spectrum. I saw people get remanded into custody. Somebody I knew from another world. Saw people who were already in custody remain in custody. I saw people just get advanced to different levels, and I watched two people successfully graduate from the program. And that was really fun to watch. And every time the judge, and I know this judge, I've had many interactions with this judge from family court and other things, and he just sat there and talked to these people like they were people. Tell me what's going on. What do you need? How is everything going? What can we do for you? And he looked genuinely disappointed when he had to relinquish that girl, not remand her.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I expected a very hard edge approach. And I've always been an advocate of harm reduction and prevention.
Yeah.
And I was very pleased to see that this was a very fluid system and not as punitive as I was expecting. It was a really
Yeah.
good experience. And it really shows just no matter what part of social work you go into, um, you will be working with substance abuse at some point. It
Yeah.
really does touch everything.
Yeah.
So it was a very dynamic experience. I'm glad I random happenstance, lucky place, right time. Was able to get in contact with the right people and made it work. And I'm really glad I did. It was a really good experience. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
wonderful.
Yeah. So
Um,
you said that you had felony drug court? Yeah. So the um the people from drug court, the case managers and things like that, um, I was actually supposed to go on Thursday, but they're going to a big conference. I think in Saratoga, like a statewide conference or something. So we had to have all of ours today. So I
Mm,
got the intervention, I got the misdemeanor, and I got the felony. So it was a long day,
mm.
very long day. But you know, much the same. The compassion, that's the thing that I took
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that. Pleasantly surprised.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
really so refreshing to hear from both of you that
Yeah.
you both had that experience with judges that were empathetic and
Yeah.
you know, really just spoke to them like they were human beings.
Mhm.
Um,
And listened. And listened.
Yeah.
That was big too. I didn't expect that.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And that's
I
what
The human
that's
element, I think, is the huge thing. Yeah.
right. And that's what they need. No one deserves to be yelled at. I mean, how can you learn or do better by being yelled at? And for the judges to take the time to
Hmm.
listen and show compassion, it means a lot. And I think that it would take, people far,
Yep.
and it shows somebody cares.
Yep.
yeah,
I think
Yeah.
as long as you're willing to work on it,
Mm-hmm.
let's work on it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
really
Absolutely.
wonderful. And
Mhm.
I'm also pleasantly surprised by um kind of similar experiences that you had because there's no regulation for drug court across the country.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. There's no
Yeah.
apparently no cookie cutter approach because there were things
Right.
that Kelly saw I didn't see.
Yeah.
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 And
And
I'm sitting there
yours
like
is
I
five
wouldn't sit in front of a
phases.
judge without an attorney.
Yeah. And yours is 5 phases, and the one up here is 3 phases. And they typically, the defense attorneys up here, they typically don't come. Because they've already met with the client and they've already met with the judge and they've already met with the DA. And as long as the DA says, yes, it's a go, then, they typically don't have to be there. So,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, same concept,
Well,
but different experiences.
Yeah, it's really
Definitely.
interesting like um you know that even though it's different,
Mhm.
like a different process, that
mhm.
there's still that genuineness that
Mhm.
to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Hmm.
Yeah, I was very impressed by that. I mean, like the fact that they had the social workers on staff and like right before court, everybody had to come in and get screened and
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
they
There
come
was
in
at
and
one
brag a little
point,
bit.
there was at one point that one of the case managers had to step out so that she could give somebody a urine test, which
Hmm.
I thought when you're in the courtroom, you think you're in the courtroom, it's so strict and you don't do this and you don't do that. But they were walking back and forth. And there was one woman that one of the district attorneys, she brought everybody a fresh glass of water, like with the pitcher, and she was pouring all of our water. And I was invited to sit at the main table. So I thought that was really great.
Hmm.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised
Yeah.
they just brought me right in and they didn't censor anything. They just let it
Yeah.
go.
That's
Yep.
interesting. That's really cool.
Mhm.
But also I do want to you know, give attention to the fact that you had to see someone that um
Yeah.
not make it through drug court and have to go um that has
She's
to be
still
really hard.
part of it. She's still, I mean, they will work with her.
Yeah,
they send her to jail. They will find a bed for her in rehab and she will continue. She's obviously back to the start and has
hard to
significantly less
start.
time to do so. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting to see. I was very relieved when they said it was a different town. And I'm like, oh, that can't be her. No, she moved.
Oh.
Mhm.
She had
Yeah,
been doing so well.
That's sad. That's very, that
Mhm.
has to be a pretty surreal experience, but also, I don't know,
Yeah. And as
kind of
much as I hate to
painful.
talk about, like, well, it's the integrity of the program, they're kind of right. Because if she
Yeah,
gets away with this, they're all going to stop. Nope. I'm not going to imply people
Yeah.
are trying to do that, but
Mm.
it does call things into question.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But just another example that, sobriety is not linear,
Absolutely.
there's hiccups and there's bumps and, um there is hope at the end though. And I think that was a lot
Absolutely.
of what I saw today was,
Yes.
a lot of hope.
Mhm.
Well, thank you everybody for your experiences.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. This was really great
Mhm.
Yes, it was
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely.
wonderful.
All right, everybody. Have a
Okay.
good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Me too.
All right.